live. It's the hour of empower. If it's 11 a.m. Eastern time, um, I used to say standard, but I'm not sure. Eastern time, we're here every day. Thank you so much for joining. Chat is on, and that's the most important part of this show is what you have to say. We're here for you. The goal is to have a lot of quality, value added takeaways. I'm so honored again to have our special guest, Leslie Flowers, with us. And today's topic is goals. And I hope we bring a lot of value and really love the interaction and want to encourage it. Dean's here. Thank you so much, Dean. And with that, Leslie, what's your first take on goals? Say hello to the audience.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Harvey and Dean and all of you coming in. So, Donald, I would ask you, why would you think that I might be the right person to talk about this?
Well, that's a good question. And I think what we need to do overall when we're looking at goals is to incorporate more questions. Question ourselves a little bit more. It can be a nice puzzling mystery that you discover priorities that maybe you weren't taking into consideration.
Well, it
And
is a mystery. Donald, goal setting is a mystery, isn't it?
well, it should be. It should be a fun mystery that you discover more of who you are and where you are today and where you could take that tomorrow. And with the dynamic nature of change, you can review it every day to make minor adjustments or major adjustments. Kelly's here. So nice to have Kelly. Kelly's just the anchor of this show.
And Christine is here.
Oh, when Christine's here,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
start to happen. MD's here. Thank you so much from Bangladesh. Christine, how you juggle your schedule, I have no idea. Hi, Leslie and Don. I love this subject. This topic's sad. I can't stay on all day to have to drop in a half an hour. And Christine's coming back with Roxanne to do a show. They're a great pair. So that's what I'm looking to do is get better and more valuable connections and combinations. Dr. Joanne's here. Thank you so much. Andrea, she's here tomorrow and Tuesdays going forward. Lillian's going to be here Friday with Harvey and me. So we got caught up there.
Good.
To your question, why did we pick goals as a topic?
No, why did you have me do this?
Oh, okay. Well, I know that you're very accomplished at goal setting. I know that you're big on Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And that has a lot to do with goals and visualizing your opportunity. So, yeah, I thought you were more than well versed on the subject. And the key to these conversations is looking at words in different ways based on different perspectives, conditions, situations. So, yeah, that's why I think you're more than qualified. What's your thoughts?
Well, thank you. Uh, the reality is that over 15 years, I have watched what people do and developed a program to set and achieve goals. And I realized about 5 years in that it was really a challenge to achieve consistently. And I kind of started looking back into it. The only thing, hey, Andrea, the only thing that I could find, honestly, is I shouldn't have said honestly because I'm always honest with you, Donald, is SMART goals. And I didn't like them because I knew there was something wrong with SMART goals. But it took a few years to figure out what was wrong. So I would love to know. Hey, Paul. Hey, everybody. Harvey. I would love to know your take on SMART goals in terms of setting large goals and consistently achieving them, because that was all we've ever had. So let's hear from the audience. Oh, look, there's Paul. Dr. Leslie. I love him. Okay. So, how many people use SMART goals effectively? And they could say that SMART goals works for them every time. When they set a big goal, they use SMART goals and it works. So let's wait for that to come in. Let's be watching to see if people are actually using that. Now, when I did some investigation, here's what I found. That was all we ever had. No one ever gave us a list of rules or taught us in school or in college. I've never met anyone who was taught how to set a goal where you have your best chance at achieving it. Never. And I've met a lot of people. So you don't like SMART goals personally. Okay, so good. So say some more why you don't like that. So here's the thing about SMART goals. It's all we had. And it is rather like sticking a square peg in a round hole. Because if you look up the history, it's on Wikipedia, it's easy as you'll find it, is it was designed for middle management tasks. And they're brilliant for task management, right? So let's see, put up here what Paul says, what he says about that. I always thought it was weird that R meant realistic about a limiting belief because realistic is subjective. Oh, well, that's a very interesting point. It truly is. And I'd love that. Yes, it is relative. Realistic is relative to each of us. So that's an excellent point. Anybody else on SMART goals? So, okay, so just let me share with you. It's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Perfect for tasks to reach your goal. Just perfect, right? Because as you move toward a goal, however long it is, you want them specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, or realistic, and time bound. However, the realistic, as Paul points out, and achievable, you don't know how you're going to achieve that big goal. So when you work to squeeze the concept of SMART goals into a big goal, like a 90-day goal, a philanthropic goal, you fail almost every time because it's achievable. You would have already done it. Realistic, you don't know how you're going to get those big goals. So I wanted to bring that distinction to you so that you use SMART goals for the tasks because those are brilliant. So let's see what else anybody else. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Okay, we got lots of hellos. Ha, 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 ha. Does anybody have any questions about that? Oh, here we go. There are some aspects I do like about it. Yes, specific, measurable, and time bound. Absolutely. Those three translate to big goals. That's a brilliant insight, Paul. But achievable and realistic are for the tasks because a really great big goal that you've completed, you did not know how you were going to do it. And it didn't seem realistic at the time. I want a beach house next Christmas. Right? I can have that, but I may not know how to do it. That's part of the magic of goal setting. Oh, Andrea, I don't like setting goals for 10 years ahead. I put them 6 months to a year. That's excellent. Now, Andrea, this is a really good point that you've brought up here. You know, we have a hard time staying disciplined, don't we, Donald? So, like, if you, to Andrea's point, 10 years ahead, you know, you could have a philanthropic goal to sell your business, Andrea, in 10 years, right? You could have that, like, oh, in 10 years, I'd really like to sell my business for $20 billion. Certainly isn't achievable or realistic right now. And I found that 90 days is perfect. It's long enough to go through the motions, to build a new belief in your ability and your deservability, and to achieve the goal. The whole thing is to achieve it every time. Set, achieve, set, achieve, set, achieve. Right now, when we rely on what we know, now that look, there are 12 elements on the checklist, which I had to create on how to set a goal that you'll always achieve. 99%, unless there's an emergency. You know half of them. Through trial and error, we know half of them, and we use half of them. It's the other half that messes us up. It's like dropping achievable and realistic in on top of all the stuff you know. It negates what you're doing. So, let's see. Is there anything else in here that we'd like to hear? Oh,
Well,
okay.
let me just touch on,
Please.
you know, when you look at goals and goal setting, because things are changing, and to Andrea's point, people are bringing the time frame down because 10 years is a lifetime.
I agree.
You know, so if you look at goal setting as continuous, and you're really never achieving a goal, you're just setting an adjustment to the goals that you're on, right? Recalibrating, you know, reevaluating where you need balance, where you need activity, you know, to bridge the gap between a desire and an end result. Something has to come through the middle.
Yes, and actually, you could use the mantra, the goal doesn't change, but the plan will. So
Mhm.
even if it takes longer than we expected, right? Or, right, maybe we didn't even know it was already coming to us, right? But on the way to a goal, you have to be flexible. And that's one of the reasons that we don't want to set a goal that we've already done before. Does that make sense, Donald? If you've already done it, you would have already done it. You've got to stay motivated long enough, right, to put in the tasks to achieve the goal. So it should be something you haven't done before. And that's one of the elements or the laws of achievement. If you already know how to do it, pick another goal. You're in charge. The idea is to set and achieve as consistently as possible, because haphazard results is haphazard money. And so the anxiety is still there, right? We want to be able to count on achieving, right? Through experience, through doing this over and over again. So yeah, I think that Andrea's point is excellent. 90 days is, we've done over 500 of these. 90 days is like the perfect amount. And I am not the only one that came up with 12 weeks. That's been around a long time.
Well, if you want, while we're on the subject, why don't you share your slide?
Oh, okay. If you don't mind, I'll do it very quickly, and then I'll put the link inside the comments later if you would like a copy of it or you want to chat about it. But when I do a 90-day goals, my program repeats every 90 days, and it's the same material. And you might be wondering, well, really? People have done this for 5 years, for 20 business quarters with the same material? Because repetition is the first law of learning. And every time you do it again, you see something new. So let me just show you this. This is one that I did for several of my clients. It's a quick 90-day repeatable funnel to convert clients. And so this could be your goal for 90 days. And then once it works, you do it again. Let me just click this here. You do it again. And then you do it again, and you do it again. And here it is. It's real simple. It's a 90-day repeatable funnel. Can you take down Olu's message?
Sure.
Because it's covering this. Okay, so basically this is an example of a 90-day funnel. Day 1, you set the goal and a couple of tasks. What are my first 2 steps? Remember, you're not going to know all the steps. Then at around day 30, you set the interview date, you get any questions answered, and you map several more tasks. So you do the tasks a week or 10 days in advance because you want to be ready for people and opportunities that show up. Then at day 45, you're sending out your invitations, and you've got to send reminders out times 7 and keep track of your results. At day 80, 10 days before is when you have the interview and you invite people to a master class or a webinar. And then on day 90, your webinar is complete. And what you've done now is you've converted them into another meeting with you, whether that's financial or not. So that's kind of a fun one. And I just wanted to share that with you. I'll put the link there in case you're interested and you want to talk about it. All right. So let's see. Well, we've got a conversation. Let's see if we can, like Don, if we do this right, our goals will always be ahead of us. It's not about achieving goals. Well, actually, it is about achieving goals, because if you didn't, in my view, if you didn't set the goal, you wouldn't be moving toward it. Because, well, for me, and what I've experienced is the goal has to motivate you into action, right? It has to be enough to keep you focused. Why you want it? What does it make available to other people? What is the impact, right? Are you heart-centered? Do you want to bring something? Donald's goal is to expand this platform, right? All over the place. His tasks are doing this every day or every other day or whatever he decides. And the reality is that once you can do this consistently, it becomes a habit, a belief, you become more aware, and now you're in what they say is the flow. So really all that's missing for consistent goal achievement is the stuff you didn't know, because no one ever taught us, right? So I'm really curious in the audience, what do you use? I loved Andrea's, that she broke hers down into 6 months. I thought that was really good. What do you use? I'm kind of in disagreement. Setting goals high, knowing I have to push myself. That's right. That's right. You set them higher because it's motivating. It takes the same energy, doesn't it, Dean? To do a small goal as a big goal, you're still working toward it, but the result is motivating. But this is what we just.
And Harvey says, I like that, Don, if we do this right, our goals will always be ahead of us. It's not about achieving goals. It's about direction and motivation. And what I'd like to blend into this is what we're talking about. This has been universal. It's evergreen, this information. But now, what if you can bring a collaboration group that meets every day together and encourages you to continue with your pursuit, maybe to even optimize it, maybe to help you? You know, how much more efficient could you be with experience, with wisdom, with mentoring or being mentored? And that's what people should start to look and blend into their goal setting, is how can I use the valuable resources that I've earned through building quality, high integrity relationships?
Yes.
And join forces and share goals. And I think a program like this, if you don't trust somebody or know somebody well enough to buddy up with them, then use this show to put it out there.
Can we go to Andrea's? There's some 5 really good comments, and the first one is, excuse me for interrupting, a great habit becomes a lifestyle.
Yep.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I knew you guys knew this, and that's true, Donald. Absolutely. This is a mastermind. According to Napoleon Hill, and mastermind's been around for 5,000 years. It's not new. He popularized the term 100 years ago. You know, Ben Franklin called it a junto, Junto. His lasted 40 years. The same people doing just what we're doing here. So Andrea says, a great habit becomes a lifestyle. That's exactly it. And here's the insight in this. Okay, now listen to what Andrea has said here, because this is so juicy. When you program yourself in 90 days, you have a new belief in your ability and your deservability. Not only that, you create a new neural pathway. What does that mean? It means that the next time you set a big goal and the internal conversation says, whoa, maybe I better not do that. I've never tried it before. Maybe someone else is more prepared for it. Your new belief says, However, I've done this before. So now your brand new belief that you created by doing something you've never done before effectively and with flying colors supersedes or outweighs or what do they call it? Overwrites the old belief. The old belief is powerful. And it's the first one that comes up as soon as you get this big, huge idea. Before you can exhale, you get this whole internal subconscious conversation, which says, I can't do it. I'm not smart enough. Let someone else stick their neck out. I'm not an expert. Nobody loves me. We all have those. But as you do these 90-day reprogramming, if you will, as Andrea so well articulated this, you get brand new beliefs, which makes you mentally agile. Like consciously, you can purposely outweigh the negative.
Well, that's great. That is sure a great answer. Christine says repetition is the answer. That's why nature repeats too perfect. I need constant reminders to stay positive on task to be successful. Well, knowing what you need is half of getting it. I do believe that volume is the solution to most problems people face. When you do something enough, mastery is inevitable. Well, you know what it becomes more natural to you as you do. I mean, I've done 10, 11 months of these every day, and I've learned a little bit from each one of them. And I learned faster by doing them so often and consistently. And different people have come, some have stayed, others have arrived. It's just nice to see, like you say, how something can blossom and grow organically and fit the needs of the people who are at the core. Leslie, if I agree, I think, if you aim for your goal and you fall 10% short, you would have been motivated, and 90% is better than it would have been if you didn't set a goal. What's the alternative?
Well, what's why this is so brilliant, because there's another perspective to what Harvey, what you're saying. And put that back up, would you please? Thanks, Donald. Okay, so this is really important. So let's say you got 90% on the day that you said you would achieve it. Well, first of all, you got that far. It's probably going to take you a few more days to complete it. The other thing to remember is that the exact day of manifestation is not determined by you. So you do move toward it. You do all the things you're supposed to do. But the day of manifestation is governed by the law of gender, gestation, incubation, which governs all spiritual seeds. So our job is to do everything we know to do to achieve the goal on that day. To Harvey's really brilliant point here, which is so important. So you get to 90%. Well, what are you going to do? Stop? Of course not. You're going to go the extra day or two, and you will complete the goal. Every goal you complete grows confidence, because confidence is a muscle. It grows in direct proportion to its use. And that use is setting and achieving your goals that you didn't know how to do over and over and over again. You're building faith in yourself that you can do these things. Yeah. This is excellent. Let's thank you. You're so cute. Let's look at what
Dean says,
yeah. Potato Man.
Yeah, I couldn't ever drink again, was overwhelming. 90 days was a lifetime. I was focused on 90 minutes. Well, you got to be where you're at. You know yourself better than anybody else. All the information we give you is generalized. Everybody's an individual. Everybody has their time and place and whatever. Mm-hmm. And whatever works for you to get you closer to a goal. What I always say is every activity you perform takes you closer or further away from your goal, right?
That's right. And that's the magic question. Mm-hmm. So if I was going to share one thing with everybody, which I'm telling you, after 15 years and 20,000 hours of this and walking people through this process, creating new beliefs
Well, that's what
right?
Christine says here in her.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly right. So you the way you create the new belief is by doing the thing you didn't think you could do, right? Because the old belief, remember that these old limiting beliefs were created, for those of you who love that conversation, they're subconscious. You cannot see them. You know what you believe by your results. If you don't have the money you want or the lifestyle, you simply don't believe that you have the ability or the deservability. Okay, no problem. So if you want a different result, you've got to do something different. So the 12 laws of achievement, the checklist I created, will make sure that you have your best chance at always achieving them. Now look at one of my clients that did 20 consecutive 90-day goals. Her business exploded because she'd set a goal and used SMART goals to achieve it every 90 days, and plus my hybrid program. But that's how you can use it. And then you achieve it. Oh my God, you feel so good. You've never done it before. Then you do another one and another one and another one. And your business starts to skyrocket. You stop worrying about how much income you're going to have because now you can predict it. Now, at around day 60, you begin to see people and opportunities show up that you used to think was a coincidence, but somehow that person or that opportunity takes you directly toward your goal. And the point that Donald was going to make, which I got off track, is here's the one thing. When you set a goal, if a new opportunity comes up during the time you're working on that goal, if it does not take you to your goal, you ask the question, if I take on this new opportunity, juicy, I love it, I really want to do this thing with you, right? But if I take it on now, will it take me toward my goal? If it won't, do not do it now. Tell the person, I love it. Could we talk right in a couple of weeks when I complete this goal? If you do it, now you're working on diminishing focus, you're distracted. And that's why one of the elements is one goal at a time, because we want every goal to build a new belief in your ability and your deservability, and also be accessible consciously. When you come up with these wild, crazy ideas that you never thought you could do, that internal voice doesn't have an ice cube's chance because you already have new beliefs. Sorry, but I've already done this, and this. So we're using a little biomimicry, if you think about this, Donald, because this is how we've always set goals. So tell us how one of your grandchildren got what they wanted when they were little. This is where I get a lot of my information. So tell us a story about one of your grandchildren and them getting what they wanted with you.
Um, that's pretty easy. All they got to do is do anything to tell me what it is, because what it takes to make them happy is very easy to go out and find. Most of it's whatever they're into. And I think that's the key is when I used to set goals by myself, they were limited to me and myself, right? When I started to have sounding boards,
Mm-hmm.
right? When I started to solicit insights like here, right? Everybody who's contributing is layering on to everybody else's stack,
That's
and
right.
readjusting it. And you can't leave here today without goals ringing in your ears because it's been talked about so much and portrayed in so many different ways.
Yep.
And I think at the end of the day, goals only have meaning if there's action involved.
Oh, absolutely. If you aren't in action, it's just a dream. Consider it this way. This is kind of a funny image, but it is how the universe works, how universal law works. What you want and how much you want it, which is your amplitude of vibration, but don't worry about that. How badly you want it, why you want it, what difference it'll make, is moving toward you at the same vibration you're moving toward it. So if you're sitting around with no action thinking, gee, I'd like to have a beach house, gee, I'd like to go on a cruise, the beach house and the cruise are sitting on its couch. When you get up off your butt and start walking, it gets up off its butt and starts moving toward you. If you drag your feet, it drags its feet. If you move with alacrity, it does too. And this is the reason why you don't want to know exactly how to do it. Because as you're moving toward your goal, what's coming toward you, the universe co-creator has sent people and opportunities to help you. That is our partners. So someone shows up on your doorstep and says, oh my God, this is what I really want to do. But if you had been attached to the specific steps that you felt that you had to do to reach the goal because you broke it down exactly, you're going to be more focused on being attached to making sure every task is done, and those people will walk right by you. So as you move toward what you want, trust me, the universe is sending what you want in the way of people and opportunities, and you have to recognize it. This is the everyday miracle that people talk about. You just have to notice it. So read what Christine says.
Yes, I spoke to a friend yesterday. She said as she gets older, she wants to accomplish less. I have had the opposite experience. I've never been as motivated as I am now because I have new beliefs. Well, congratulations to you, Christine, for taking that extra step that most people don't. I mean, if you look back at what we're talking about, what Leslie's very familiar with, Napoleon Hill, one of the basic concepts was the mastermind group.
Yeah, one of the principles of success.
And actually even having an imaginary one where he'd bring past thought leaders together in his own mind and run things by people. So,
who did that? Who were you referring to?
Napoleon Hill, right? He used to bring Abraham Lincoln back
Well, and it's interesting that you bring this up because, yes, you're right. And there's a program out there now that's been out since the 50s, which is riveting, called Silva Mind Control. Now, Jose Silva was a migrant worker, well, not migrant worker, a Mexican-American living in Texas in the 50s. And it just so happens that one of my clients was the same age as his kids. He developed the Silva mind control method, which is basically stepping into your subconscious, okay, and creating. And I actually have taken that certification about 15 years ago. You actually do that. You create a workshop. But now, in everyday modern circumstances, based on what Harvey said and what you've said, Donald, is the accountability group. This is a wonderful accountability group, but here's one of the elements of setting goals. Do not share your goal with anyone who is not working with you at this level of awareness, i.e., your family. Remember, you've never done this before. So people who do not understand the path you're on, so get it here, because everyone here will lift you up. If you have a mastermind, they'll lift you up. But even in the New Testament, in Luke, I think it's 4:1, you'll never become a prophet in your own home. For a whole different bunch of reasons, don't tell your family until about stay 60, when the idea has impressed into your subconscious mind enough that you now have a firm belief by people and opportunities showing up that you can talk about it. But what happens is, and the same thing has happened to me. Let me just tell you this little story. Okay. I decided about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that I wanted to open a chocolate company, handmade chocolates, in the mountains of North Carolina. The mountains of North Carolina look like they had cut out a 20-mile square piece of San Francisco and dropped it in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Okay. I wanted to open a chocolate company and I met a chocolatier and I did it. Now, I didn't have a clue. I didn't know a thing about chocolate, but I found a chocolatier. I loved the idea, and it was 4 hours from home. Now, I was very excited about it. No clue, just a dream, right? Moving forward, all the good reasons, the excitement. And my family and I were at McDonald's. The kids were maybe teenagers at the time. And I told them about it. And my daughter said to me, Mama, you don't know a thing about business, let alone chocolate. Why would you do this? Well, I was speechless. And for those who know me, speechless is not no way of being. But here's the wonderful thing that happened. Later, she called me and she said, Mama, I realized that you had painted this beautiful picture on an Etch-a-Sketch. Y'all remember Etch-a-Sketches? And I shook it. I'm sorry, Mama. So even then, and then I had a daughter who was aware enough to realize 2 hours later that she had just piddled on my dream because it was so new. It had no roots. I didn't know how I was going to do it. She made a good point. Yeah, you're right, Michelle. Under normal circumstances, I would have quit. But I know better. So keep it to yourself, or like Harvey and Donald says, share with people you can trust. To look for the greatness in you, clarity of goal, focus, and yes, being open to the gifts that the universe brings to augment and assist the realization. Boy, I couldn't have said that any better. That is just brilliant. And it all starts with the clarity of goal. It's your definite purpose. You'll have nothing if you don't have a specific goal. Oh, well, maybe next year I'd like to have a beach house. Oh, one day I want to make 150,000. Nada. Not enough motivation. It has to be specific. Work on that first. What do you want? Why do you want it? Are you motivated every day to get up? Right? So Donald's community is this philanthropic amoeba, amorphous, that's growing like a virus in a positive way. Viruses move very quickly. There's a great book, Virus of the Mind, by Richard Brody, which says that negative emotions expand like a virus very quickly. And you know, this is true when you get around negative people. Like all of a sudden you feel lousy because they're talking about illnesses. So, but what Donald's doing is using the concept, to expand his concept. So his goal is philanthropic, really, and it's ongoing. And then what does he do every day? He takes specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound tasks. Boom. But the question is, what was your vision, Donald? What is your vision right now for this group in 25 words or less? I sure as heck can't do it. You do.
I would say having a community that builds on itself and builds on the best of what people can bring to the table. So I think that's under 25 words.
Okay, how many? Let's put a figure to it, because the more specific and scary it is, your goal should scare you a little bit, okay, because you haven't done it. So put a number to it. Let's say by the end of this year, how many connections don't worry about this group, but how many connections? I know where you are now. So to be able to give it a time element, and you don't have to do it right now unless you want to.
No. I think the better measure would be how many people view the show on a
That's fine.
basis.
What's the number? Is it 1 million? Is it 2 million? Is it something outrageous? Because you're going to do it anyway, but the larger the number, the more exhilarating it is. The higher your vibration, because you're in total service to others. This is total service. So how many?
I would say right now we're probably at about 100 who are live, and then maybe a little bit more. So if you could get to 400 to 500 by the end of the year, which is about 8-9 months, because the key is going to be growth.
You think you can do it? Do you think you could do it?
Yeah, if I continue to see more and more value in the programming.
So if you could already do it, then bump it up to 1,000. It's not big enough. If you can envision it as a possibility, you already know to do it. So make it 1,000. So you want to, what do you have? 100 now? You want 10x by the end of the year. Period. The end. We'll all help you do it. There's your mastermind. We'll be sharing, and you will have 10 times, because you could do the 800. And that's why I asked you, do you think you could do it? You said, yeah, as long as everybody keeps coming. Well, okay, then it's not big enough. It's not motivating enough to get you up every day, although I would question that. Actually.
Yeah, no, I'm doing it every day, no matter what comes out of it. But here's what I do know is not only is the group getting bigger, but it's getting better individually and collectively. People know what to do now when the show starts. You know, it's like the starting gate, you know, and all of a sudden who busts out of the gate using possibly our keyword that's already known before we start, so people can collect thoughts and ideas. And plus, people have shown themselves day in and day out to be who they are. They're safe, they're available. Reach out. You know, it's one thing to not have the pieces, it's another thing to have all the pieces and not put them together.
Yes, and you don't need the pieces, and the rule is you're not supposed to have them. So look at this one. I once shared my idea and plans with a family member, and they discouraged me. Okay, but here's another thing I want to tell you about this, Christian. Listen, Christiane, I'm not sure how you want to say it. Even when you give up on your goal, you still planted the seed. Sometimes, for whatever reason, on occasion, we give up on something, but the universe still has everything you've given it. So it may show up later. It may be time for you, since you were discouraged and you quit, to get back to it, because all the work you've done is still there. It's still moving toward you. You just have to begin to move toward it again. Look what Harvey says. Oh my goodness, he's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I'm embarrassed. I am the nemesis of failure. Oh my gosh, Harvey, you have no idea what this means coming from you and from all of you with your very kind words. I have to tell you something. I had a coach last year who said, do not teach what you know. Make people pay for it. Instead, what I did was, because I don't like selling, and Christine, to your point, I do less now. Like your friend, as you get older, and I'm old, you are not old. You will reach a point where you'll niche down and you will do less and you'll be better for it and be able to teach it. Look what Christian says. Right now, I don't talk to them because they don't know I had a vision and dream. They feel I'm striving for something. That's why you need a group like this, Christian. It's okay. The reason that your family and the reason my daughter did what she did has nothing to do with the goal or their love for you. They're afraid that you're going to leave them if you become successful. It's the old crabs in a bucket, right? If you put crabs in a bucket, one is crawling out, that's you. And then everybody in your family pulls you back down in. It has to do with their love for you. So it absolutely has nothing to do with their faith in you or your ability to succeed. Their heart doesn't want you to succeed because you'll go away. It's another perspective to look at why people are that way. A dream is the beginning of a goal. Jot it down. Now, look, I'm going to give you a few. These are part of the 12. Okay. And the thing is I stopped going for money. So I made arrangements to finish the story because I am not wealthy. Okay. I've never, ever achieved the kind of wealth that I thought I wanted. But life has been so good to me. I've set goals for $15,000, $20,000, taken my family on a cruise, concierge level, a Disney cruise, right? I will do things like that. I've driven a Mercedes. But what I did is I set myself up with a backup plan. If I have learned one thing from men in business, is to have a plan B. So what I did was, because I love teaching this and I thought I'm not following that advice. I love teaching this stuff, and it has nothing to do with money. It has to do with you hearing something and you go, oh, I'm going to add that. Oh, I didn't know that. Just like I do when I listen. So I arranged to have our family home sold to my children so that that money gets put into a nest egg, right? So I don't have to worry about hitting the dirt to get a client. Clients come to me. I don't have a lot of them, but they're perfect, right? I don't charge a lot. What I want is for you to be happy, healthy, and wealthy as a mindset every day. I want you to be able to know enough not to worry that the date is impending, that on this day is the day you said you would achieve the goal. And if you don't, you're a failure. That is not true. I want you to know that that's not for you to worry about. There are a lot of things that are working in the universe 24/7, 365, whether we know about it or not. So it makes sense to me if you know about it, then you're not going to worry about that. To Harvey's point, the 90% is brilliant. Who cares? We got this far. Unfortunately, when we do new things, there's a jealousy hidden there, but putting other people's ideas frequently not supported. Yeah, Rita, and those are the people that aren't your people. Would you agree that the people that are jealousy is a very low level of awareness? Not to say that I don't feel it sometimes, a little bit here or there, right? But it is not an attribute that a leader wants to have. Let go of jealousy. Everything is relative. Would you go back to that one? I missed that one that Harvey said. I've been waiting a long time for Harvey to get on one of the. Oh, I like the fact that you don't achieve the goal. Right, and that's it. And then the other thing about planting seeds, there are two kinds of seeds in the world. There's a physical seed, right, that we can plant and we watch and we know when it's going to come up. If you took the acorn, right, and you sliced it open and stuck it under a microscope, there's no little oak tree. What's there is the DNA to attract to the root system that it will turn into an oak tree. Now, there's the other seed, which is what I call a spiritual seed, which is thought energy. This is your idea. So over the 90 days or whatever amount of time you choose, as you think about it, as you do a task every day, every other day, you're focused on it, you're excited about it, you follow as many of the rules as you can, you're beginning to impress the idea into the subconscious, and that load through vibration, you feel good. That's loading the DNA for manifestation. The universe responds to vibration. If you maintain a high vibration, your results are a high vibration. If you have a poor attitude and you haven't learned yet about this brilliance of learning being the miracle grow for humans, then your results will match. 2 gardens out in the sun, same water, same everything. Flowers are gorgeous. One of them you put Miracle Grow on. The other one is doing very nicely, but the one that has the Miracle Grow thrives. Learning is the Miracle Grow. We're the only living beings that have conscious awareness to purposely take an idea and move it into the subconscious by watching what little kids do. They harangue. Donald, if your grandchild didn't get that thing, he would have aggravated the crap out of you until you gave it to them. So they have a very definite purpose. They want that thing, and they will not let it go. They will tell everybody, right? They are excited about it. When they see it, they point it out, and eventually they get it. So this is the way that you can change your results, create new beliefs, and be happy, healthy, and wealthy every day when you wake up. Not worry about the stuff that God and the universe is already handling. You just didn't know they were handling it. Harvey, Minerva, I like a dream being the beginning. People understand dreams as a supportive nurture.
Well, coming back and with 10 minutes to go, When we're talking about goals, obviously it can be a process that people can follow, believe in,
Mhm.
and achieve. And some people are already on their way because they're successful at what they've been doing, right? So not everybody starts at the beginning. Some people just need a little bit more time, a little bit more insight, maybe a person or two, because I think just like a jigsaw puzzle, it takes forever to find the outside, but
Yeah.
eventually the inside fills itself in, right? So I think there's something to consistency that allows you to keep learning on a regular basis and not having to catch up where you left off. So, having a sense of time urgency and then action urgency that's comfortable, right? Everything should be comfortable. If you put it back in engine, it should work as good as when you took it apart.
Yes, and allow me to add this. Let me give you some of the elements. A good goal, you will have moments of fear. If you aren't a little bit afraid of how it's going to happen, because you don't start out comfort, you don't know how you're going to do it. A little bit of fear, just let it remind you to go back to why you wanted it. You've got to have a big why. It has to motivate you into action. You keep your lip zipped, right? You only know one or two steps. You write it down very clearly, and the best way is in present tense, as though you already have it. Why? Because it makes you feel good, because it drives up your vibration, because it keeps the motivation going until the end. Be careful who you share it with, right? You don't need one penny to start your goal. So get rid of that belief, because it's only a couple of steps. So if I wanted to be a mountain climber, never happening. But if I did, all I would need is two steps. One, find a local place that has mountain climbing, right? And two, where am I going to get my equipment? Now I'm in action, even though there were little steps. Now I've waylaid fear. As a matter of fact, where is this book? I can't, do I have it here? Okay, so my 2018 bestseller compiled, it's an anthology with 28 business or coaches from around the world that were in a telesummit, and we transcribed all of their interviews into a book. It became a #1 international bestseller. And here was the best part about it. We were looking at, what is it when you get a humongous idea? What all these people that have done this successfully, what are the first things you do? And without knowing the answer, they all said the same thing: take 2 steps. The moment you take those 2 small steps, temporarily, you have blocked out that fear, that limiting belief. Action will deny that limiting belief that says, well, you can't do it. Well, I'm already in action. Sorry. So in that book, everybody, before you take a breath, take 2 steps. So those are part of the 12. There are 12 of them, and I don't know how many of I've touched on. But if you can check off all of those, this is my goal. Do I have a definite purpose, right? Have I ever done it before? Could I plot out how to do it? Bad goal. Not to tell anybody. You're motivated. You've got to have a specific date, right? Even though the date is contingent on the universe, the excitement of the day. And here's the other one. You don't need any money to start. However, if you know you need money, then you want to make it a big amount, right? So if my goal is to have a beach house Christmas 2024, here's what I'm going to say. I'm so happy and grateful now that it's December 15th, 2024. My bank account reflects $750,000. By the way, I don't have anywhere near that. And I've already put the down payment on my beach house. So the amount, people say to me, well, Leslie, well, how do I know how much for a big, I don't know how much. No, you don't. Make it up, but make it big enough that it lights you up.
Okay, that's fair advice. Paul says, every time I speak, I will get nervous. I just remember that when my mentor told me before I took my first stage, go be great. Well, if you put things in perspective and context, that makes a huge difference in how you appreciate what you just did. And you'll get positive surprises that you didn't expect, and you'll get negative surprises that you didn't expect. But that's the reality playing out your vision. And
Oh, and be sure that you celebrate at the end. How many times do we complete a goal? Right on to the next one. Completion. Regard yourself. To Donald's point, how are you going to say, well, gosh, I never thought I could do that, right? You can do that here. And I did it. And not only did I do it without knowing how, but I was really, really good. That is building faith in yourself and confidence. So make sure when you achieve that goal that you regard yourself and you stop and go, whoa. When I started this, I had 2 steps and a big dream. And here it is 90 days, 120 days later, and I'm holding it in my hand. You have worked with the universe because you maintain that high vibration in consistent spaced intervals over time. We learn through repetition. So you have to be motivated enough and focused enough to stay on task. And that's why 90 days works so well for my clients. But I know people that use it for different amounts. You get to do it any way you want. I have a hard time staying disciplined past 90 days personally. And really the 500 goals, that was the sweet spot. That seemed to be the one that would stretch the people and have them focus long enough, as Andrea put earlier, to actually achieve that new belief. You can't usually do it unless, and people that say you can change or create a habit in 21 days. If you live in a vacuum, you can. One that sticks. 21 days is a misnomer. I'm so glad you were here, everybody. This is so good. And I will be coming back and responding to any questions or comments. And I know Don will too. What else have we got here? Oh, look at Paul says, that's why I asked the question, have you really lived if you haven't jumped out of a plane? We each get to choose. Those are your standards and ideals. To you, you haven't really lived until you think maybe you jumped out of a plane. It's not the same for me. I've lived. I've done things that I never thought. I used to fly troops into and out of Vietnam. I was in a rocket attack in Benoit and in a bunker on the ground with rockets going around. I sang in a rock band in the 60s, right? So and Donald, my God, if you've ever talked to Donald privately, he has done some things that I scratched my head. How in the world did he ever do it?
Well, the pleasure and privilege is being able now to pass it forward and give people the, let's say, after picture of people who chose goals, achieved goals, built strong communities with high integrity, and now continue to leverage off of it. So instead of diminishing, now another wave has shown up. And a medium like LinkedIn Live and community building like this has now made it possible for people who wouldn't drive to an office every day anymore or get on a plane 2-3 days a week to belly up to their desktop, right? And then press a button, and all of a sudden, all of your family shows up all at the same time with the same welcoming, hello, sorry I'm late, welcome within the circles. I mean, that is really achieving something that you could never envision because you were never smart enough or experienced enough to know how big of an opportunity you were walking into. But
hey, can you bring up Rita has a really good thing here. She said about achieving.
Achieve begins with believe.
Well, and here's another way to look at that. Yes, and beliefs are grown with achievement. right? So both perspectives are accurate. So you've got to believe enough to achieve it. And then the way you create beliefs that stick are through the actual achieving. That's brilliant. And then there's something else that, this one is a good one too. Celebrate. Let's see, Andrea, thank you. No. There was something else I saw that was really good. Grandpa Don and Dr. Leslie. Jeez Louise, is that our names? Those are our names. Well, I think we should do a show, the Boomer Show.
Well, we could, and I think maybe that's one of the goals, is to expand programming, expand audiences with more programming, and actually continue to bring people on who can now become personalities onto the medium itself, and have a chance to share a lot of what they took a lifetime to build.
That's right.
And have other people get the benefit without having to go through the time, struggle, effort, thought, and know that if we can do it, and we did it based on a different world, a different way of doing it, now with what you have as far as your capabilities, it's unbelievable what can be done. So with that, well, Andrea's into the Boomer Show, 7 more, and it goes live. So with that said, rest up. In 23 hours, we'll be back. Tomorrow's show, just to share with you, we have Andrea. Wednesday, we have Brett Packard again, great retired international banker. Kelly and her nephew, Blake, who's got an unbelievable story, will be here Thursday. Harvey, Lillian, and me on Friday. And then Leslie Nidick, who hasn't been on the show, be her first trip, is going to be here, and she's got an amazing story, and she's an amazing person. So it's only getting better, it's only getting bigger, and hopefully we can continue to share wonderful stories of success based on setting relevant, enjoyable goals. So with that, take care, have a lovely day, be back tomorrow.